You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Love Talk Live. The show is starting. I'm Jaime Bronstein, and today I have with me Rahla, Kahn, and Richard Rossner.
Hi.
A beautiful married couple for 32 years, almost 33.
Mm-hmm.
May
31.
May 31st. So coming up. It's very exciting. So this is such an extraordinary couple. I don't even know where to begin. But actually, just
and
for
we
fun.
like each other.
Well, that's very important because, we always say you need to, besides for love the person, you need to like the person.
Yes. You do? Perfect.
Yes, I say that. And before I actually get into, I'm going to read you guys their bios. Just for fun, let's talk about how we all met.
Okay.
Yes. We met at a Boston University alumni reunion meeting thing.
Yes.
Event.
And it was almost a year ago,
Almost
probably.
a year. And tonight is another one.
Ironically, the date that, this is how the universe works. The date that worked out for all, it was probably almost a year ago. The date that worked out was today. I get an email a few weeks ago, and I write them an email, and I say, do you guys realize it's the same night? Are you going after? Well, spend time after again.
Looks like we are.
So welcome to the show. So happy to see you guys, and go Boston. Go Boston. Okay. So I'm going to read a little bit about this beautiful couple because they do amazing work. And so we can kind of get into what you guys do for work first, because you can talk about your companies,
Sure.
maybe people that are interested, they can reach out to you. And then we're going to get into their beautiful relationship, and all of you guys will be so inspired. So Rahla Kahn is a visionary. With her weird name and Valentine's Day as her birthday, she was forced to find a unique calling. She initially chose acting and has worked on stage in television and film, but her most important work came directly out of her experience as an original member of the Groundlings. Improvisational theater was the foundation for a program she created in 1983 called The Power of Play. The Power of Play is an effective and entertaining approach to healing, as well as helping participants recapture their deferred dreams. Life proved itself to be as surprising as magical as Rahla herself, when chance meetings led to being mentored by author Norman Cousins, who wrote Anatomy of an Illness, and radiation oncologist and author Dr. O. Carl Simonton, author of Getting Well Again. Rahla is currently on permanent staff at the Simonton Center and works as a certified Simonton therapist. Rahla adapted The Power of Play for the corporate community and has worked with the Harlem Globetrotters, American Express, IBM, and the U.S. Army. Is there anyone you haven't worked with? I don't think those are big enough also.
I mean, I didn't have, the list is long.
Like, impressive.
That's a good
This is just a taste.
Among many others. Her work has most recently evolved to include her latest program, Good Grief, where she serves as a grief guide helping people restart their lives after great loss. So we have one angel sitting next to us, and now we're going to read about the next angel. Richard Rossner has a diverse background in the creative arts, an honors graduate in communications from Boston University. He moved to Los Angeles, where he worked as a writer for situation comedies and variety shows, as well as a screenwriter. Although he wrote for such shows as Welcome Back Kotter, She's the Sheriff, Comedy Break, Full House, love that show, and the Live Aid concert, he has been involved in the personal growth and human potential movement for more than 4 decades. He has worked as a facilitator for corporations, individuals, and groups in California and Arizona. Richard met Rahla Kahn while studying improvisational theater as an original member of the Groundlings. Can't wait to hear about this. Los Angeles' premier improvisational theater company. He partners with Rahla in their company, The Power of Play, as well as served as an educator at retreats for the Simonton Cancer Center. While he continues his writing career, his latest creative outlet is hosting multiple podcasts for the Parcast network, available on Spotify and other platforms. Richard and Rahla have been improvising a life together since their marriage in 1987. Their most important improvisation is their son, Chase. To their shock and amazement, he did not become an accountant, but chose to become a music composer and producer through his company, Hot Work Music. So, There's so much to get into.
I want to meet them. They sound
Oh,
wonderful.
I know. I wish they were here. Maybe we can get someone to call. Can somebody phone them up?
They're busy.
God. Oh, wait, it's you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm honored. I am
Oh,
honored.
God, we're so thrilled.
Okay, so I don't know where to start, but I know that you guys wanted to talk about Power of Play. But I would love to just ask you a few questions about what happened before then. Like, you guys met at, we can get into like the romantic meeting part, but you you started out at the Groundlings.
At the Groundlings,
which is
that's right.
just amazing.
We did meet, but I think the juicy intersection is it was 8 years later, and we both had crushes on each other at the Groundlings. We
But
both
that's
thought
the
each other-
romantic part.
Oh, that's the romantic part.
So
What's the nuts and bolts?
the part, I think the part, our first actual intersection was at the Groundlings. Rahla was a Groundling. And this is we're considered original Groundlings because it was the 1970s.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
As they say.
And I'm going to say it.
All right.
Say it.
Rahla actually was the boyfriend of the guy who
The
started the
boyfriend?
company.
I'm a girl.
Girlfriend of the guy. Girlfriend of the guy who started the company.
Okay.
So when I joined the Groundlings, I saw this enchanting young woman in one of the classes we were in together, the only one we were in together actually, and
It was song improv.
It was song improv, and I knew that Rahla was Gary Austin's girlfriend, so I knew there was hands off.
Right.
That's. However, but over the years, this smiling face kept coming up in my consciousness,
Oh.
and. But we may have run into each other once at a restaurant. I think that was it, over an 8-year period.
So the Groundlings stopped, or you stopped
both
doing
of
the
us,
Groundlings.
yeah.
You moved on.
We moved on, yeah.
No contact. There's no Facebook, no Instagram.
Right.
Like,
Oh, no,
no
none
cell
of that.
phones.
No.
Right,
No, we
right.
both were invited to an event at the Biltmore Hotel that...
And we're going to get into the romantic part now. Let's
that-
just do it. Okay.
Oh, well, I don't even know if that was a romance.
Well,
But now we're going into their story.
It dovetails
Oh, okay.
into actually the other work that we do as well.
Okay,
honey.
so we need to hear the story. Okay.
Oh boy, there's so many stories.
No, we need to hear this, how
Okay.
this
This
happened.
is juicy.
So, Rahla had a friend who invited her to an AIDS benefit.
I mean, are we
And-
allowed to say... does it
You can
matter?
say-
I
yeah,
don't
say
know.
it.
Yeah, you can say.
Do we?
Yeah.
I don't know. At that time, it was my friend Helen Hunt. And
Okay.
she invited, it was a play about AIDS, and she was one of the stars. And this was a big fundraiser at the Biltmore. And Elizabeth Taylor and Ted Danson were the host and hostess of this big event. And Helen was going to be my date. And she got called to New York to do a movie of the week. And I got a phone call on the day of the event. And she said, look, I'm going out of town. You're going to go alone. I don't want to hear a word about it. Your ticket is paid for. You're going to get a free meal. You're going to get a soggy vegetable plate. I was a vegetarian. And you're going to love it. And you're going to sit at the head table with the gay mafia. And they're going to love you. Get all dolled up. And
was her
reluctantly-
intention, like, as a friend, like, you should go, you're single, you never know who you're going to meet type of thing? Or no?
I
'Cause that's
don't
how
even
I
know if she
think.
thought, yeah, of course. I don't know if she thought that far ahead. She just wanted to make sure that I went and had a good time and
Okay.
that I would be fine without her.
Because you're her friend and she wanted
Yeah,
you to go.
she wanted,
regardless.
regardless, because it's an adventure, and she knows that I'm a very adventurous young gal. Even to this day, I'm very I'm curious, and that
Oh,
leads me to the most
so am
wonderful
I.
places.
Yes.
So I reluctantly pulled myself together, got all dolled up, and my mom said, "You are so courageous." And I had her check me out, and I remember I wore a velvet dress with a big velvet bow in my hair.
I remember that.
And I went down to the Biltmore Hotel. Of course, it didn't occur to me to bring any money because it was already paid for. And the Biltmore Hotel is in a kind of a wild neighborhood. It's across from Pershing Square, and it's a little unsavory, to say the least. I mean, you had to valet park your car. There was no choice.
Right.
And I'm thinking,
Right.
oh my God,
And you have no money.
No money.
She had no money.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to all work out. I don't know how, but
And there's no ATM machine.
no,
That's
no.
right.
And I knew I could hear my mom. I couldn't park my car in the street because I would have been like grounded. I
Right,
mean,
right.
my mother would have said, no, you just don't do that.
Right.
So I went in, and the minute I walked in the door, there was my friend Vince, who was doing the news for ABC, and he had a camera on his shoulder, and I said, I need $10. And he gave me $10, and that was that. And off we went. And
Meanwhile, I was invited by a writing teacher who was a friend of mine who said, look, I bought a table. I would like to fill it up. Would you like to go? And I figured, well, I hadn't seen anything or done anything charitable in a long time, so why not? So I figured, and decided to go early because I was actually on the hunt.
No pun intended. Hunt and hunt.
Yes,
Hunt.
I was
That's good.
tired of dating and just not having it all work out. So I really had decided I want to find somebody. So I would take any opportunity that I could. And I arrived early because I wanted to be able to scout the whole
Peruse.
situation, right? And we were in the I guess it was drinks and
Where the bar was.
yes,
Yeah.
and I saw this fabulous looking woman across the room, and I said, I know her, and I was trying to remember, and I went, yes, this is a casting director who liked me, and I know what I'm going to do. I'll go over, I'll say hello. We'll start chatting. She'll say, you know what? I have a small role in one of the sitcoms I'm doing. I'll get the role, of course.
Yes.
I'll be brilliant. They will write me in as an irregular regular. I will get my own sitcom. I will get a movie career out of this. My career is made if I just go over and say hello.
I'm exhausted hearing the whole story.
So walking across the floor,
I'm not. I love it.
halfway across, I realized that's not the casting director, but she looks familiar, so I think I know her, but I don't want to look like an idiot, so I'll just veer off and go get something to drink, at which point Rahla looked at me and went,
It's
so
me.
now I had to go across.
I knew who he was immediately. I remembered him. And I remembered I had sort of a crush on him too, way back then. And I had thought about him as well. He used to wear tall, skinny, and he had this mop of curly hair.
Way
and
back
there
when.
was this guy with the mop, and I'm going, oh my God, that's Richard. I thought to myself, but I didn't think anything else of it. But of course I acknowledged with a little, moment, had no idea any of that subtext story was going on in his brain.
So now
Wait,
I'm.
this is so
yes.
important. Did you ever have a crush on her at the Groundling?
Oh, she
Yes,
was so
he
cute.
did.
Wait, you
of
said
course.
you did.
Yeah.
You would have
yeah,
gone
yeah,
there, but
yeah.
you couldn't go there.
Right.
But you, during the boyfriend, you kind of had a
No,
crush
I
on
didn't.
him.
No, I just thought he was really cute.
Thought he was cute,
Definitely
but
darling.
was not going to go there.
No, and I never dated a Jewish guy in my
Oh.
life at that point.
But even though you are Jewish.
Even though
Okay.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
But the point is, I was spoken for, and that
Okay.
was that. So.
Got it.
So I'm walking across the floor now. Now I have to go over and say hello. And it really, every step, it was like the Baton Death March because nothing was coming to, who is this person? All I could
And
think
she's
of.
like, "Hey."
I'm thinking,
Uh-huh,
yeah.
exactly.
And I'm
That's
thinking,
exactly right.
I need a name. What is her name? What is her name? The only thing that came to mind was the letter R.
Okay.
Now, one of the things in improvisation is, you don't wait to get an idea. You just start saying something, and the rest of the words will follow, and you'll figure it out later. So I figured I'll start with R, and I'll figure it out. I'm sure the name
Rhonda.
will pop. Here's what. Hello. It was not coming out. So Rahla said,
No,
Rahla.
no, you said Rula. Like
I said,
there was
Rula
a
Lenska.
commercial.
Rula,
Rula-
ra,
yeah,
ree.
Rula. I said-
She said, Rahla. I went, yes, you are Rahla. That's right. And she said, you're Richard. I said, yes, I am. And the
She knew
first
your-
question was, are you still going with Gary? And she said, no. I figured, great. Now we can have a conversation.
Oh.
And that was the beginning.
And that was the beginning. And we had a great chat. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm so not going to follow you to a table. I'm at the head table with the
Oh,
gay
right.
mafia. Goodbye.
Right, you're too cool.
No,
I
I'm
was,
very
yeah,
cool. And I'm
very,
not
very
going to, because I wasn't, I thought he was adorable, but not a big whoop. But you asked me for my phone number and you said you'd call, which is unusual for the guy to actually call. I mean, I was,
Yeah.
I had been single at that point for about 4 years. So I had been dating. I had been, out there, we'll say. And, some guys will call you, some guys won't, but Richard did. Right on schedule, actually. And, of course, I already had a conversation with my mother and my grandmother, and the first words out of their mouth was
He's Jewish. I
Of
know.
course,
Let's take
of course.
Jewish.
which was an unusual question because they already knew the pattern. But, yes. And then we made a date. That was a Wednesday, and we went out the following, was it Saturday?
Yeah.
I can't remember
Yeah.
now.
And we went to the Good Earth.
We went to
We
the
went
Good
to
Earth.
Good
Yeah,
Earth
that
for
was our
dinner
first date.
when-
He was a weird eater. I was a vegetarian since I was 15. He was a vegetarian, I found out, since college. Already I'm liking him a
Yes.
shade more than
A Jewish
prior.
vegetarian.
A Jewish vegetarian. Okay, what else?
Yeah,
How
well,
else did
we
it go?
found
Oh.
that we had, aside from the fact that we were both groundlings, we found that we had a lot in common. We were both, it felt like we were both on a path. and really wanted to impact people in a powerful, dynamic, and positive way.
You just have to say the one thing. This is sort of there's two things that are deal breakers for me, and they still are. One, will you let me have a taste off your plate? A little taste, because I had many boyfriends that said, no, order your own.
There's a Friends episode.
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Okay. So,
You
yeah.
haven't seen it.
All right. And the other thing is dance. I was the best dancer in junior high and high school. I am a dancer like you cannot believe. I love it. I dance for exercise. I dance, and
I was willing
he
to
was
dance.
willing.
That's all, willing.
That was it.
He would share. So you would be like the dream girl that a guy is looking for because you're not really that picky. You just need someone to dance with and share his food with.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I wasn't thinking I was never going to get married. That wasn't a thing. It wasn't. No, I was a different.
This
type.
is like just a date.
Just a date,
Those are the
and
criteria.
possibly just a great date and a great friend. There was no thing as friends with benefits, but
Right.
that's actually what I was thinking, but we
You're-
didn't call it that.
You're very unique for a woman.
Oh,
you know that?
Yes, I am. I have a lot of guy perspective, I think, rather. I mean, or you tell me, why am I unique?
I think you're unique because most girls, like, I grew up, like, I'm looking for my friends. I love dating and getting dressed up, and I'm so excited to get married, like when I was 7,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
So that made me, I guess I had never really talked to the women in my world because I was in the theater, and a lot of the women I knew weren't speaking marriage. They were really thinking more about career.
yeah, well, and
Right.
actually that's what it is now.
Yeah, but it was a
Especially.
little bit before.
Unique
it's
then.
Yeah, unique. It was. But so that's why I got thrown for a loop when.
But also the fact that you weren't like, oh my God, I want to get married so much yesterday, it was probably more intriguing.
Well, and he was the one that was on a mission to find his.
Right. It was
very
kind
clear.
of opposite of it.
Clear. I was very clear at that point.
Yeah.
And in fact, it
But wait, you've got to just say the one thing about
Okay.
the food
All right,
because
all right.
that's so pivotal.
So
but
everybody.
don't do it in real time.
well,
Don't
what-
tell the story in real time.
One of the things that we've noticed is that people have all kinds of eccentricities. So Rahla asked, listen, when you order can I have a bite? Sure, of course. So she didn't know I had a specific eccentricity, and this is how it rolled out. The waiter brings the meals. Now, you got, I think, some kind of a salad, and I got
No, I got something
the
else, but you
walnut
didn't want it.
cheese loaf, which is so delicious and hearty. And Rahla, the plate arrives, and Rahla said, could I have a bite? And I said, sure. So she reaches over, and she takes her forkful, and this is what she sees. And she said, what's wrong? What's the matter? I said, realizing that I was now, she now caught me in my eccentricity. I said, you took my last bite. This is an entire plate of food that nothing has been taken, from which nothing has been taken. And she said, what do you mean your last bite?
Right.
I said, well, I like to save the best bite for last. I like to save the
Like
best
the
for last.
corner, crunchy
Yes,
or something.
That's
I
what it was.
wanted
That was
the
exactly.
burnt cheesy part,
that was-
and that was, of course, the
what I
best
took.
part, which she took. She offered it back. I said, no, you may keep it.
But now,
But-
almost 33
Yes.
years and he still lets me, I always say, I go, okay, honey, where's your last bite? I'll avoid it.
People who have heard that story, if we're eating, they all try to guess. It's over. It's right. That one. No. Thank you very much. Yeah. But people are crazy. That's what I think.
And
Everybody's
Unique.
crazy.
And I love that he had like an idiosyncratic kind of
Yeah.
a bent and was weirder around food than I was, which was really good. So then we went out after
So
that
then we went out
to the
and
LA
then-
street scene.
Yes. We
I
just-
got very throw up sick.
Okay.
Which and it
Drank a
didn't
lot.
I don't like big rides that move. That's never been my thing. Ronald said, "Oh, I love
I
those kind of
love
rides."
those. I love the roller coaster, and then I proceeded.
She was the
to
one who
just
got
skip
sick.
and like completely. Luckily,
Threw
it
up
was-
the cheese bread.
Yeah, exactly, but
Pretty
not
much.
in. I made it to
Yes,
the
yeah.
ladies' room. But the point is, it's that it didn't faze him whatsoever.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because
It's
she's
good.
so cool.
Well,
But one
and
of the
then,
things
and then
one
we
of
were
the
engaged
things,
3 months later.
yes,
and then
3 months
married-
later, and then married 9.
It's six-
Not perfect gestation. 6 months after that, 9 months
Yes,
total.
Yeah, 9 months total.
And that was it. But from the very beginning, Rahla started to explain to me some of the things that she was doing. One of those things, she said, "Oh, well, I'm using improvisation. I'm working with mentally ill and homeless people in Santa Monica. And I said, what? She said, yeah, would you like to come down and check it out sometime? I said, absolutely, because I was always looking for a good story. Maybe it's something to write about. And because I understood improvisation, I could see what she was doing with these people, and I was blown away.
Oh, wow.
So I wound up, many of our original dates over that period of time was me joining her. And it was at a point in my career where sometimes I felt mentally ill as a creative person, and, you know, whether I was in work or out of work. And I found that what she was doing was just phenomenal.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and how did that come to you, and why that population?
Oh, that's a really good question. How it came to me, this is the nature of show business in general has a lot of rejection. If you're out there auditioning, and I became known as the third callback queen. I mean, it was endless auditioning and endless disappointment. And it was for things that were out of my control, like, oh, she's too pretty, she's not pretty enough, too Jewish, not Jewish enough, too ethnic, not ethnic enough. And it started to make me crazy. And the very reason I became an actor, which was to have a creative voice and to have fun and to be able to stand on a stage and take the audience on a journey and get them to laugh and to cry and all the things that a young person gravitates toward when they decide to make their career in show business, and specifically in the theater or in television or movies. And it just started to wear on me. And I have to say, I was sad. I lost more than one big gig. And I was driving down La Brea and got rear-ended by a Mack truck. Literally in my rearview mirror, a Mack truck rear-ended me at 3rd and La Brea. And I was okay. My car was totaled. I mean, I didn't have to go to the hospital, but it was a wake-up call. And it was one of those things where, as you look back and you process it, I was thinking, oh my God, it took a Mack truck to get me to stop spinning and take a moment to reevaluate. Like, who am I really? Like, I've chosen a field where if I don't want to be judged, I'm in the wrong business. And more importantly, what does my heart want? And so in that recuperating stage, I had a chance to begin to reevaluate and evaluate. And it was really cool because the guys that owned the Bodhi Tree, which doesn't exist anymore, it was a big, giant spiritual bookstore in West Hollywood.
Yes, I've heard
the Bodhi Tree bookstore was the spiritual mecca in this town. And these guys had come to see the Groundling show. They had known me at the restaurant that I worked at. Of course, you have to wait on tables when you're an actor.
Absolutely.
And they heard about the accident, and they invited me to the Bodhi Tree, and they gave me just carte blanche and said, here's all the bestsellers, get whatever you want.
Just read.
Just take and go. And Carl Simonton's book, Getting Well Again, literally came out and fell on my foot. Like, it was crazy. It literally just, I picked it up, and okay. And then Norman Cousins' book was like, in the midst of all these other ones, it was like a neon marquee at a movie theater. It was like, take me, take me. And so both of those books really spoke loudly to me. And then I got a bunch of other fantastic ones, and I just read and read. Those two books really, I guess, really touched me in a very particular way. Again, I'm looking now backwards. However, to the point that I started to look at, okay, there's something about laughter and healing, because both of them address play, laughter, healing. Both of those books had a lot of what I was already doing, and it was a way for me to go, wow, there's a whole world out there. I need to go figure out what that world is. And it was the world of medicine, science, psychology, psychiatry. It was nothing like show business. And I was telling everybody I knew that there's something, I want to do this thing with comedy, and I know I've got this healing thing, and I was just yammering. My chiropractor came in, because I was seeing him a number of times a week as I was recuperating. A chiropractor, an orthopedist, a psychologist, you name it, a medical doctor, a lawyer, all kinds of stuff. So, what was I just...
Glenn.
Oh, Glenn, yeah, the chiropractor. Thanks, honey.
Yeah.
The
Such a good husband.
That's what I'm here for.
So my chiropractor, Dr. Glenn Williams, at the time, came in and said, this has your name all over it. And it was a brochure, a very large brochure that said the First International Humor, Laughter, Play Conference. Keynote speakers, Norman Cousins, author of Anatomy of an Illness, and Dr. O. Carl Simonton. Okay, I mean, it couldn't have been more obvious, except I didn't have two nickels, but I was dating a guy who, unbeknownst to me, wanted to break up with me. I didn't know that, but he came to me and said, Rahla, I want to do something nice for you. And I go, you do, Jay? I really would love to go to this conference. And I remember I went to my mom first, and she was like, are you out of your mind? I am not giving you $450 to go to a cockamamie conference. But it did work out, and I was so silly. I should have said, and I left the hotel room, but I didn't think that far ahead. I would have thought differently now. I ended up staying with my best friend who lived on Lombard Street, and I ended up having to take a taxi to the conference. But that being said, I sat there and I soaked up all of this stuff like a sponge, and it was the antithesis of anything that had to do with my world in Hollywood. It was medicine, and I'm the daughter of a doctor, and my dad, my cousin who's a neurologist, used to say, you should think about, you have that brain. I was always fascinated
But I
by
will
science.
say, at this conference, that's where what I call Rahla magic kicked in. Because Rahla kind of shows up and things start happening just because of who she is. Now, you can see that she dresses down really good. You would hardly see her in a room. You didn't see the bracelet she took off.
She's
before.
like a wallflower.
A lot of sparkles,
Very
right?
shy.
So
Yeah,
she was
soft
demure.
She was at the final dinner of this conference, and she was late. It was raining. She had to get a taxi. She was late. She was drowned rat syndrome. She was looking for the one vegetarian meal in this sea of
1,000
plates. She finally found her plate, her seat. She sat down, and the waiter brought over a note. And the note said,
Are you allowed
well,
to?
no, I don't
You
know.
can
Are
clean
you
it
allowed
up.
to say?
No,
You can swear.
Yeah.
You can swear.
Oh, okay. You can say exactly
Yeah,
what the note
you
said.
can swear.
So
No
the
bleeping.
note said, who the fuck are you and what are you doing at this conference? Please see us at the book signing, Carl Simonton and Dr. O. Carl Simonton and Norman Cousins.
Now,
They
Norman doesn't speak that
found
way. Carl
her.
does. Yeah.
But they found her. So she went up to them, and what did
Well,
you
it was
say?
hard to miss.
Well, what did you say when you went up to them, Carl?
I said to Dr. Simonton, Dr. Simonton, you're the Beatles of cancer.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I need to meet this girl. And I waited to
The
the end
Beatles
of
of cancer.
the book signing was over, and Norman Cousins said to me, okay, I'm not going to go to North Beach. I live in LA, you live in LA. We'll connect in Los Angeles. Carl said, I'm going to go. He used to travel with one of his patients that did the work. And he said, we're going to go to North Beach. We'd love you to come with us. And I said, I would love to. And then I'm going up in the elevator. I'm thinking, my mother will ground me. I'm going up in an elevator with strange men. I don't care. This is probably not a great idea. But I did it. And while I was, it was amazing. And we had such a beautiful connection that Carl came down and met my mom and came to my mom's house and said, Claire, you got to get out of her face. She's brilliant, your daughter. My mother said, of course she's brilliant. She's my daughter. My mother never said anything like that.
God.
But he spent 3 hours. And he had, that whole night, he heard a lot about that I wanted to take my background as an improviser and find another way to, at that point, there wasn't anything, I didn't know it was called reframing or recontextualizing. I just knew that I wanted to take that experience and turn it into something new.
But they both liked what she was saying and thought that there was something about using improvisation in the healing modality. And so Carl wanted to work with her as well.
And hired me. Let
And
me say,
hired
for
you.
5 years, I assisted Dr. Simonton at every Humor, Laughter, Play conference. And there were 2 to 3 a year. And it was amazing because I got to be trained by everybody from Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. I mean, the names would maybe mean something to some folks,
No,
but,
yes,
but
I hear
not
you.
a lot to anybody else.
She's-
But in this field of mind-body medicine, which was just being born,
It was the head honcho.
everybody.
And Norman Cousins at that time, he was sending video cards. This was in the era of videotape. So he would send a videotape and a cart to various communities, play comedy videos for the healing impact. Well, at Step Up on Second, the person who was supposed to handle it for this one weekend, she was busy. And so Norman said, would you mind running the video? And Rahla said, sure, that sounds like
just
fun.
for one day.
Now, Rahla, what he didn't know is she's not so good with technology. So she was kind of standing there.
But you can improvise.
With
which is what I did.
with a limp power cord in her hand. And how do I? And they started to yell at her. This group was saying, when are you going to put on the movie? We want to go to sleep. And Rahla said, whoa, wait a minute. You're supposed to sleep? You're going to sleep? You're supposed to laugh? And he said, well, we're on meds, Thorazine and this kind of that kind. Okay. She said, let's play instead. Let's play and laugh. So they said, okay. So Rahla just starts making it up and playing some basic improvisational theater game exercises in this one little corner. Now, here's where the Rahla magic comes in again. Unbeknownst to Rahla, the executive director is giving a tour to somebody from the State Board of Mental Health of her facility. She's walking around, and they see this group in the corner laughing and playing, and the state board person says, who is that person, and what is she doing? And the executive director of Step Up on Second, Susan Dempsey, said, I don't know. I've never seen her before. For all I know, she's mentally. I don't know.
She thought I came in off the street. It didn't occur to me to talk to anybody.
She didn't check in with her. She just went in and
did
this where you play
I
the
did
game?
my thing.
So they watched for a minute. Susan saw Rahla kind of had something she was doing. So she said, excuse me, young lady, I'd like to speak to you in my office when you're done.
And everybody says in the group, oh, you're going to get in trouble now. And I'm like, I'm going to get in trouble for what? I'm here for one day. I'm covering for somebody else. Yeah, right. And so I go into her office, and she goes, what were you doing? I go, well, those were improv games. And what? And I go, and I'm a groundling. What's a groundling? I mean, it's a strange name, but everybody knows what it is.
Yes.
Then it was like, what is a groundling? Is that a rodent? And I said, no, it's an improv company. And she wanted to know more. She goes, are you a psychologist? I said, no. I majored in theater. I minored in psych. And then I go through a whole song and dance about, I had to quit school. My dad died, blah, blah, blah. And, she's just as patient as she can be. And she says, wow, the state board wants me to hire you. And I just about had a heart attack because she said the word hired. And I said, you're going to pay me? And she was like, yes. And that was it. And she sent me home with a bunch of wonderful books on mental illness. And she said, and then I started, and I was there for 9 years.
Wow.
And it was an experience. And so that happened through Norman. I was simultaneously working with Dr. Simonton. His cancer center was in Dallas, Fort Worth at the time, but then they made a move out here. And I am still connected to the Simonton Cancer Center. I mean, he became a lifelong friend, mentor, almost like a second father figure, honestly. Richard and I both worked there.
Yeah, what happened, after the 94 earthquake, I did not like the earth acting that way at all. So I said, we got to get out of here. So we wound up moving to Scottsdale for 9 years. And at the end of that time, Rahla said, it's time to move home. I said, we're going to New Jersey? She said, not a chance. We're going back to L.A. I said, all right. So we came back, and in 2003, we reconnected with Carl, and he said, I'd like to see what you do. I haven't seen it in a long time. Come up at one of our retreats that's coming up, and I'll give you 2 hours to work with people, and let me see what it is. We got up there, and he said, look.
Santa Barbara. We were up
in Santa
Montecito,
Barbara.
actually.
He said, look, it's been a very tiring retreat so far. I have to just take care of my own energy. I'll probably only stay for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go to sleep. But you guys do your thing, and thank you for coming up. He stayed for the entire 2 hours. He came running up afterwards. He said, this is phenomenal. Oh. He said, I am so energized. He said, I want you to be a permanent part of this program.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really
And
cool.
since that time, we have been at virtually every Simonton Cancer Center retreat as the power of play. Now, Rahla, Carl died in 2009, but Rahla was so inspired by Carl's work and by the work that they do at the Simonton Cancer Center.
And his legacy was very important. His legacy was so important to me to keep it alive. And so I decided that I would reluctantly but joyously go back to school and become a certified Simonton therapist. It was like going to medical school. I had no idea how hard it was going to be.
Wow.
Because I'd been around the work for so long, I did not know that there were it was really a very intense training program, and I took it on.
And these, a Simonton therapist specifically works with
cancer patients.
Okay.
Doing the Simonton protocol, which is the Simonton method. I mean, I did the Simonton method while I was recuperating from the truck hitting me. You don't have to have cancer. It is such a rich and profoundly simple but very deep quest inside,
Healing.
because it asks some very potent and powerful questions, and it's not for the faint of heart. But I went there, and I saw, not only did I have an experience of the work from my own accident, I didn't have cancer, but I didn't care. So I know the work translates beautifully. You don't have to be sick to do this work, and that excited me. But I've been now as a therapist going back to school. It took me 3.5 years to get my certification. It was a long journey, a very in-depth journey. Dr. Simonton had died, so things were very out of kilter. I knew that I was going to tough it out and make sure that I could speak this work and go toe-to-toe with any physician, any scientist, any doctor, and not bend or break, because it's one thing to believe, it's another thing, and this is scientifically based. They've gotten the science now, so it's not woo-woo, it is practical, and it works.
Oh my God.
And as we were going there continually over the years, I was starting to learn what that whole method was. So now I am also delivering. I'm not a Simonton therapist. I don't do that work, but I do help deliver some of the Simonton material along with the power of play. So it's really been.
They call you a cancer educator.
I'm an educator.
Or an ambassador.
Yes.
Yeah.
But an educator
Simonton
working with specific aspects of their program,
Yeah.
teaching the Simonton method. So that's something that I also do now with Rahla.
And the power of play is still an allocated part of the curriculum.
And this is working together and being married and maintaining a relationship and still liking each other.
And knowing that we're best friends, of course, and everybody says that is married and likes their partner, but we really are. We would choose each other as friends. And that to me is a testament, because especially at this stage of our lives, we get busy. And I always felt that the man that I spend time with, it's somebody I always have to respect anyway. That was a thing for me. But he has, raised the bar and, seen it and raised it because he's such a good human being.
And so are you.
And I get, yes.
And so that's why you guys align so well.
Yeah. And we are aligned on a lot of things. And one of the things that we were both clear about is, for us, laughter is our aphrodisiac. It really is. I remember one moment in particular. I was sitting, I think, in the living room reading something, and Rahla was watching some show that she really enjoyed. And I could hear her laughing in the other room. And I was just so filled with love. I didn't want to go in and ruin it. I just wanted to hear her laughing the way she was laughing. It was so beautiful. It was so full.
Well, we're both easy laughers.
Yes, we are.
And that's a thing. I mean, you probably laugh. I have a feeling you laugh.
I love laughing.
And and our son has got a great sense of humor too. I mean, we find the humor in the most absurd things, but we also have made a commitment, and we love this about each other, but we want to make the world a better place. I know that sounds so trite.
No, I do too. I get it.
It
sounds cheesy, but
it sounds cheesy, but we mean
when
it.
It comes from certain people.
And I knew that about you. The minute I saw you, I know you're supposed to be interviewing us, but I did see you, and I saw you at the event, the BU thing, and you guys found each other, and I watched, and it was like, you are so a shining light, but your effervescence is what intrigued me, and it's consistent, obviously. So I'm honored that I get to play with you.
Well, it's so wonderful to meet like-minded, like-hearted people when it is, I was about to say, it's genuine. When you genuinely want to help people, not in like a cheesy way, but in a true, authentic, genuine way. And people that aren't like us, they might not get it, and that's okay, but we know what our mission is, and we know the joy that it brings us when we help people.
Yes.
And not just help, but really help people shift their lives. I mean, that is the most wonderful, amazing, beautiful feeling in the world.
Yeah, and you get to do this with this great platform. And we're hoping, as books get written and classes get exposed out into the world, we've been a little below the radar, quietly percolating, because we've been very driven. When you work at a cancer center, and there's things that in running the business end of the business are Carl's. Is it a widow or widower?
Widow.
The wife.
He's the widower. She would be the widow.
Thank you for clarifying.
Woman is a widow.
Okay.
The man is a widow.
because she's had a lot to do to keep the doors open. And so we were very, very focused on the Simonton work and sort of, not that we put the power play on hold, we didn't, but it is hard to go out in the world and sell yourself. Can't stand it. So it's nice to be able to talk about it without having to do it
in a genuine way.
In a genuine way.
Yeah, and as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, anybody who's watching this who maybe has zero awareness about Simonton Center and this work, maybe they have cancer, they know somebody who has cancer.
Absolutely.
They'll be
We've all been touched in some crazy
reaching
way by
out
cancer.
to you. And we do have about 9 more minutes, but as long as we're doing this, why don't, at this juncture, tell people how they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. You can reach us at www.thepowerofplayforhealth.com. Of course, if you're a corporation, just thepowerofplay.com. And info at thepowerofplay. It'll come to us. Info at thepowerofplay.com. We'll get any emails. And if anybody knows anybody who's dealing with cancer, please, www.simontoncenter.com. You can go right there, and we are continuing to set up retreats. It is an amazing program, and we've seen miracles.
And don't forget, both of the books, Anatomy of an Illness by Norman Cousins, which is about his journey, laughing himself well watching comedy videos. And we take for granted that laughter is the best medicine. Norman Cousins is the one that brought that to the forefront.
Wow.
So that is a great book, as is Dr. Simonton's book, Getting Well Again. And read it from the cancer perspective, but if you're like me, just read it. It's so good.
Helpful, no
it's
matter what.
helpful no matter what.
So
okay,
so
we have time for a few questions. You guys
Sure.
are obviously going to have to come back to do more. But just to leave our viewers with some nuggets of your relationship, and don't think about your answer, just say it. But what would you say is the key to, and you guys might say laughter because you've gone over it, but maybe it's something different. The key to what makes you guys work and last and stay and everything. What's the key?
I'm going to say this because I think I can speak to this. Communication. Mm-hmm. And yes, was your major, but I thought that I was the best communicator in the world. I could fake communicate to anybody. Richard was a little bit different in the style of the way he managed me, because I slam doors and I leave the room. And Richard is that reeler back inner. And this was a foreign concept to me. I couldn't get the man to break up. I tried to break up with him. And I couldn't, there's nothing I could do. I did all the old things that used to push guys away. Richard just kept moving forward. He was not daunted whatsoever. He believed that there was something of value. And Richard is the first person, and he's a great teacher of good communication. And we do it to this day. We tortured our son with it. You want to talk about how we communicate when there's something really important.
Well, yeah.
This was to me one of the most romantic things I'd ever had happened to me, because it was somebody that was so present and count onable. That's very important, that we would go through things in our relationship, but Richard was such a good talker and willing to listen. He does something very powerful. He gets into the other person's shoes, and that's very important.
So it's being empathic, but it's the critical thing is to find out what the other person actually means. Because usually when we communicate, she'll say something, and I think I know what she means, so I stop listening and I start preparing my answer to combat her, as opposed to finding out, is this what you mean? So I'll rephrase it, send it back to her, and she can either say, that's it, and we say, you feel the click.
Yes, yeah.
Or she'll say, that's not it at all. Then it's like, okay, let's try again.
That was a journal right there. That is sex on a stick. No, that is so cool.
It is,
when you're especially when
someone
you're in
wants
those
to work with you
because
they love you.
And someone wants to not just talk to you, but hear you. So that is a huge, see you for who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, the boyfriend before Richard used to say, "You're not wearing that, are you?" I mean, you're gonna, because I have these glasses with fruit all over them, and he'd say, "Go in and change your clothes," and I would. And then I stopped. And then this one came aboard, and it was like, why aren't you wearing that thing? Or why are you not wearing your sunglasses with the fruit? on it. He genuinely got me.
He wants you to be you.
He wants me to
And
be
you
me.
want him to be him.
And we like who each other is, and we support that. Because also, after 33 years, we grow, we change.
Naturally,
We're
yes.
growing for some crazy reason. I mean, I never really identified this, but we're not growing apart. We're growing closer together, if that's even possible.
That is the key, and that is beautiful, and it happens. This is why I'm making a documentary about
I
it.
got emotional.
Great.
I got the chills. That, there's when you get chills. In a
Okay,
room
I'll
with
cry
those
also.
things, but they say that there's like our angels are here when you get chills.
Yeah.
So I really
Well,
do
it means
feel that.
when you speak the truth, it's like
Thanks, honey.
it's validation that it is the truth.
But I just really identified that because we always say that the aphrodisiac is laughter, but there's a deeper connection that I think you just, thank you for asking a question that gave me some legs
Another
to stand
insight.
on. I'd never really explored that at that level.
Do you have any other questions?
Oh, 5,000.
You're a good question asker.
5,000 questions. We have like 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So how about another question? I guess we'll have to do rapid fire, but okay. Think about your answers before you say it so you don't copy each other. Not that you
Okay.
would, but say, look at the person and say, I know. Say, I know that I am in love in this moment because.
I know that I am in love in this moment because I have a mirror in front of me that tells me I must be an amazing human being because I am with you.
I am in love with you in this moment because when I look at you, I see your big heart and how beautiful it is and how you really are there for everybody.
That was beautiful. Are we all crying? Did we all cry a little bit? Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
That's really good.
Well, there are so many more questions, but we do need to wrap up. But I thought that this was such a beautiful, wonderful, extraordinary conversation because I feel like we covered so many different aspects. We did relationship, went to work, intertwined with relationship, went back to the relationship. And I know that whoever's watching this is intrigued, inspired, and so you gave how people can reach out to you. Did you say anything about social medias or just the
well, we
website?
do.
Well,
We
we're
have Facebook
we're
and
on
all that.
Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on all of those things.
You can
Yes.
Google their names.
Yes,
Yeah.
Their
Google
names
our
are on the top of the screen. I'm sure you guys have seen that. Okay, so, and if anybody has any questions, I'm at therelationshipexpert.com and Instagram at therelationshipexpert. Just an X, not the EX. It's interesting. Okay, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You
for
guys
having
are
us.
beautiful,
This
amazing.
is so much fun.
Loved having you guys
We
here.
could have had a slumber party and not stop talking.
I know, we could keep on going
Going,
forever
going, yeah.
and ever. Okay, and thank you for joining us out there and have a wonderful evening and happy early Valentine's Day.
Oh, my birthday's Valentine's Day.
Of
Happy
course.
early birthday.
Happy early birthday,
Thank
dear.
you.
And love to everybody.
You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.